Jayelin, I'm going to ask you to maybe pull that microphone a little bit closer to you or speak more directly into it. Thank you. Jayelin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from?
Yeah, so I'm from the Phoenix area, and I'm a senior here at NAU, studying exercise science, wanting to be a physical therapist.
Okay, what year are you in school right now?
This is my 4th year. I'm a senior.
What year were you in October of 2015?
I was a junior.
All right. Where did you live at that time?
Mountain View.
Is that a dormitory?
Yes.
Is that a dormitory that's exclusively Greek, or can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so in the past it's been exclusively Greek, and I think this is the first year they're opening up to other students.
Okay. So how is the building divided up by floors and wings and sororities and fraternities?
Yeah, so each sorority gets a different wing, and yeah.
Okay. Which floor were you living on in October of 2015?
The 3rd floor.
All right. Do you remember the room number?
Yes, it's A300A, I believe.
So A refers to the wing?
Yeah.
And did you have your own room, or did you have roommates?
I had a roommate at the time.
What was her name?
Victoria Campbell.
All right, Jayelin, I'm going to ask you about the events of the early morning hours of October 9th of 2015. Do you recall that date?
Yes.
At approximately 1-something, 1:20, 1:30, what were you doing?
I was asleep.
That's a.m. So you were sleeping at the time?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Was there something that happened?
Ms. Champ, sorry. Ms. Kunkle, I'm going to have to ask you to answer all the questions either with yes or no, so that we can clearly get your answer down.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. I apologize. So you were sleeping. Was there something that happened that woke you up?
Yes, I heard arguments and shouting from outside in the parking lot.
Okay. Did you have your window open or closed? Do you know?
No, it was closed.
All right. Was that something strange to you?
There's always arguments or loud noises coming from the parking lot. It's very loud, especially on the weekends, but this was a little louder than usual. Not normal.
This was like a Thursday night, though, right?
Yeah.
So that's a weekend?
Yeah, well, Thursday night until Sunday, I guess, or Saturday.
Why is that?
That's mostly when people go out to party and stuff.
Okay. So on this night it woke you up, and do you remember anything specific that was being said, or was it just noise?
I don't remember anything being said.
Okay. Did you have to get out of bed in order to look out the window, or?
No, my window was directly my bed was directly facing the window, so I just had to roll over in bed and look out the window.
Okay. So when you looked out the window, what did you see?
As I was turning around in my bed and looked out the window, that's when I saw the first gunshots and two guys fall to the ground.
Okay. All right, so you heard noise, it woke you up, you rolled over, looked out, and you saw gunshots immediately?
Yes.
So you didn't see anything that was happening prior to that?
No.
Did you know immediately that they were gunshots, or what was your response, or what did you think at that moment?
No, I thought they were fireworks at first. I didn't realize they were gunshots, and as I looked out the window, I thought it was a flashlight. I didn't realize it was a gun at first.
Okay. Did you continue watching, or what happened?
Yes, I continued watching.
In addition to seeing the shots, what else? Did you hear things?
I don't recall anything being
So you
said.
did hear shots?
Yes.
Okay. So I think you kind of trailed off when you said what happened immediately after the gunshots.
Oh, I just saw 2 people fall to the ground.
In succession, one after the other?
I
do you
can't
know?
recall that, yeah.
Okay. What happened next, Jayelin?
And then there were more people kind of standing around, and there was, I think, more arguments being said, and then the people standing around lunged and I think threw a couple punches at the shooter, and then that's when the second round of gunshots
All right.
went.
So, just to be clear, you just saw the shooting, you saw 2 people either go down or on the ground,
Yes.
and then there were other people there that were arguing with the shooter?
Yes.
Are you able to estimate how many?
I'd say maybe 3.
Did you hear anything that they were saying or what the argument was about?
I wasn't listening to that.
Did you see anybody approach the scene, go towards anybody that was on the ground?
Yes, so I saw a girl run out of nowhere and approach one of the guys that was on the ground and started putting pressure to his wounds.
Was anybody else trying to approach the victims or approach the shooter?
Not other than the guys that were standing around already.
Was the shooter saying anything? Did you hear him saying anything?
The only thing I can remember him saying is, "I didn't mean to." That's the only thing I can remember.
Did you make any observations of the 2 guys that were on the ground besides the girl who approached? Anything about how they were acting, moving, not?
One of the guys wasn't moving. The guy that was unattended wasn't moving very much
Very much?
at all.
So prior to whatever interaction or physical interaction succeeded that you just told us about, did you see the shooter do anything else before that? Did he approach anybody on the ground?
Yes, he was near the one of the victims that wasn't moving, and sort of in a way pushing not physically pushing, but so the other guys wouldn't get to him.
Get to whom?
The first guy that was on the ground, the first victim. The guy that wasn't moving.
Okay, let me see if I understand. The shooter approached the guy who wasn't moving
Yes.
and was keeping other people away?
Yes.
How so? Was he saying something or?
Yes, he was just saying, stay away, keep back, things like that.
Okay. Did you hear anybody who was arguing with the shooter? Did you hear anything that they were saying, any questions that they posed?
I don't recall.
Okay. So now let's talk about so you talked about a physical confrontation with the shooter.
Yes.
Okay. How many people were involved in that?
I can't specifically say. I want to say 2 or 3.
Okay. And what did they look like they were trying to do?
From what I saw, it looked like they were they threw a couple punches at him, I think maybe trying to get the gun away or trying to get him away from the guy that was laying on the floor.
Okay. Did he go to the ground? Did anybody go to the ground?
Not that I can recall. He was in a squatted position, the shooter, and then regained his control.
Was there any obstruction between you and the scene that you were looking down upon from your building?
No.
Could you see, was there enough ambient light? I know it was at night, right? So it was dark
Yeah.
outside? Was there enough light for you to be able to see what was going on?
Yes. I don't recall the shirt colors or anything like that, but
So you talked about the shooter kind of going into a squatting position, but he didn't go to the ground?
not that I can recall.
And what happened next?
He stepped back and regained control of the gun, and that's when he shot the second round of shots at the people.
When you say he regained control of the gun, did somebody else have the gun, or did you know what was going on with the gun?
No, he had it the whole time, but when the other people that were standing around threw a couple punches at him, he obviously wasn't in full control of the gun. He was kind of taken back, I think, and then stepped back a few steps and got re-control of the gun and shot again.
Okay. Did you see him fire the gun the second time?
Yes.
And can you describe for the jury his posture when he fired the gun the second time?
I don't recall his posture.
Was he standing? Was he still squatting?
I believe he was standing.
Okay. Did his arm come up? Can you tell us anything about how his body was situated?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you know where those shots went to, or what?
So to me, it looked like he just kind of did a quick scan of the gun, and it hit two people. I didn't see them go down or anything, but they said, I got shot, and then ran off, and I couldn't see them anymore after they ran.
Okay. You actually saw two people get hit?
It was dark. I couldn't really see that. I just heard them say that and ran.
Okay, so you heard two different people say that they got shot?
Yes.
All right. So I want to go back to, you said he scanned, and you used a little body motion. Are you recalling how he was holding the gun, or?
I don't recall how he held the gun.
Okay. But there was a period of time in between him regaining control of the gun and him shooting?
Yes.
Can you estimate that period of time?
A few seconds. There wasn't much time. But
What about the guys who had gone for the gun? Were they still in his immediate proximity, or had they moved away, or do you recall?
no, they were in his proximity.
Okay. How close to him were they?
A couple feet, I'm guessing. I don't know exactly.
Okay. Only what you recall, Jay.
Okay.
Okay, so just to be clear, after the gun came back out, those guys stayed near him?
Yes.
Okay. What were they doing?
So after the gun came out, and they kind of, as what I can recall, they kind of stepped back a little, and that's when the second round of shots were fired.
Could you tell if it was, could you tell, okay, so you didn't see him actually, you didn't see the people get hit though, you just heard them say they got hit and run away?
Yes.
All right. What's the next thing that you recall happening, Jayelin?
So those guys that said they got hit ran away, and then there were sirens, and the shooter put down his gun and then lifted up his hands and ran to the police that showed up to the scene.
Okay. Did he run to the police before they arrived, or did he run to them after they arrived?
I don't really recall because it was out of my vision. I couldn't see the police cars. I just saw him running.
Did you see flashing lights, or?
Yes.
You could hear the sirens?
Yeah.
And that was before he put the gun down?
That was after. He put the gun down first and then ran.
And then you heard the sirens? I guess I'm trying to, which happened first, the sirens or putting the gun down?
So I heard the sirens first coming to the scene, and then he put the gun down in the rocks.
Did you see any change in demeanor for the shooter in that time frame?
Yes, he seemed kind of in a panic mode, kind of like not pacing back and forth, but you could kind of see.
Well, describe what you saw if you can, Jayelin.
I can't 100% recall that scene.
But it was a change in his demeanor from prior to that?
Yes.
Did you see anybody else approach him prior to putting the gun down?
Yes, I recall, believe 2 people that came out of nowhere, and I believe they were like trying to convince him that he had to turn himself in and to put down the gun, and that's when he did that.
Could you hear that conversation?
I recall him saying, "You have to turn yourself in."
Okay, when you say him, this is one of these other guys?
Yeah, one of the random guys. I don't know who it was, but someone that came to the scene.
Okay, so somebody who had not been out there before who came out?
Yes.
All right. Can you estimate, if you can, how long that conversation between those two, the random guy who came out of nowhere and the shooter, prior to him putting the gun down?
I want to say very, very briefly. I don't remember how long exactly.
Did you think that this whole thing was a real thing, or
No.
What did you think you were seeing?
As I said, I thought the gunshots were fireworks at first, and I thought the shooter was holding a flashlight. I didn't realize until I saw the guys laying on the ground and not getting up that it was a real thing.
Did you see any of the official response, the police response, or anything like that going on?
Yeah, so I saw the police come in and tell everyone to get on the ground, everyone that was there, and they handcuffed people, and I saw them take people separate people. I saw them separate people and take them in different directions and talk to them individually. But I saw one policeman trying to do CPR on one of the victims that was on the ground, and he performed CPR for a little while, but then went to the ambulance and got a sheet and covered the body. So
all right. So you really didn't see any of the interaction prior to the shooting, is that
No.
right? And was it just in the instant before that woke you up?
yes.
I mean, did it take you any time to wake up and look out the window?
Yes, it took a little while, but only a few seconds.
All right. The two sets of shots, are you able to estimate for the jury the amount of time kind of in between the two sets of shots?
I want to say about a minute or so.
Let's see. And do you recall how many shots you heard in each of the two clusters?
I don't recall.
Okay. Was it more than one in each of the two clusters?
Yes.
Jayelin, do you know any of the guys that were involved? Or let me ask you this way. At the time that you were looking out the window, did you know anybody that was involved out there? Did you recognize anybody?
No.
Okay. Have you since discovered that you know anybody?
Yes. Kyle, he's one of my best friends, family friends. But
Is he one of your best friends or?
My best friends, family friends.
Okay.
So I know of, I don't know him personally.
You're not close to him?
No.
Okay. If I may have a moment.
Sure.
Jayelin, we're going to, with the permission of the court, project the TrueView Leica scan. I'll ask you to just direct your attention to the screen. There's a pointer, like a laser pointer on the desk in front of you. Jayelin, do you recognize what it is that we're looking at here?
Yes.
Can you just, using the pointer, point out what we're looking at?
Yes. So Mountain View, and then the parking lot, and then this is the crime scene in this area
Okay.
where everything happened.
Now, looking from that perspective, are you able to determine which one of those windows is yours?
Yes, so my window is this one right here.
Okay. Can we, I'd like to look up this. So we're going to change our perspective a little bit. And of course, it was nighttime when this was happening, right?
Yes.
And what we're looking at here is daytime, right?
Yeah.
But you've indicated you could still see.
Yes.
Now, there's no obstruction or anything that you can see that's in between your window and the scene that you were looking down upon, correct?
Correct.
Can we move up to this one? I just want to see if we can see. All right. Now, ignoring the yellow cones, all right, Jayelin?
Okay.
All right, there you go. What are we looking at here?
Just the sidewalk in front of Mountain View, and then here's the parking lot.
Okay. Now, the best you can do, I'm going to ask you, And just, again, just do the best that you can.
Okay.
But I'm going to ask you if from this perspective you can point out to us essentially the locations where you were seeing things happen. So when you first looked out there, where did you see the guy with the flashlight?
I saw him about right here.
Okay.
Or even maybe, yeah.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say even maybe a little farther back, like right here.
Okay.
Around this area.
Did you see him move before the shots, or was he stationary?
I didn't see him move before the shots.
You did not?
I did not.
Okay. I'm just going to again ask you to, now I think because we've turned you towards the screen, you're a little further away from that microphone,
Okay.
so it's hard to hear you. All right. And so as far as you recall, that's where he was standing when the shots occurred?
Yes.
And where did you see the two guys? Did you see them actually go down, or did you just see them on the ground?
I saw them go down.
Okay, and where were they?
One was right here, I believe. It's kind of hard to see, but... And then the other one was, I think, for here.
Okay. So you're familiar with this area that we're looking at, right?
Yes.
In that first section where you said the one was right here, that's like a rocky divide between the sidewalk and the parking lot?
Yes.
And is it fair to say that you indicated the second one was in the parking lot in the striped area?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see them moving before the shots were fired or anything like that?
No.
Can you describe, if you can, if you took note of this or if you recall it, how many other people were on that sidewalk or what the rest of the sidewalk or parking lot looked like, if you know?
I want to say there was maybe 3. No. A couple people, 4 or 5 maybe.
Okay.
But that's about it.
So there was not a crowd?
No.
And amongst those people that you did see, however many, 3, 4, or 5 people, were they when you first looked out, were they in a cluster? Were they spread out along the sidewalk? What can you tell us about that? If you can.
I don't recall that, how
Okay.
they were positioned.
All right. And after the shooting, did they move? Did they stay in the same place? Where were they?
The first shooting?
Yes.
They moved. As I recall, they took a few steps back, like what, maybe thinking like what just happened. And then a little time passed, and then they threw a couple punches at the shooter.
So those guys took a couple of steps back before that engagement?
As what I recall.
Nothing further than that, Judge.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Do you remember giving an interview to the officers shortly after all this happened?
It was a couple weeks after this all happened. I didn't go right after the shooting, but yes.
Yeah, I guess shortly is a relative. Yeah, okay. Not necessarily referring to the script, just in general. I know it's been a year and a half since this happened, and there's certain things you've said you can't recall.
Yes.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we'll get to that in just a moment. I just wanted you to have it before we get going.
Okay.
So you said that you heard some fighting or shouting, yelling going on out there. And
Yes.
that's what woke you up, right?
Yeah.
And that as you looked out the window, you heard the first shots?
Yes.
Okay. So you didn't see anything that happened prior to those first shots?
Yes.
When you were just describing the position of people, that was after the shots?
Yes.
Right? From that moment going forward, did you ever divert your attention? Did you ever get out of your bed or go anywhere?
No.
You sat in your bed the whole time and watched?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's go ahead and turn to that transcript. Let's go to page 4. And the very first line, the officer asked you if you had heard yelling out in that parking lot previously and other nights. And your answer was yes, but nothing that would have woken me up. This yelling was more like an emergency or like urgent. It was different than the rest.
Yes.
Then a little further down, you said that it all seemed like kind of a blur, right?
I'm sorry, Judge.
Let's direct you to line 20.
I'm not sure if this is inconsistent statements or what the basis for referring to the transcript is.
Verify that this was all sort of a blur to you. Would you agree? We don't necessarily need to refer the transcript.
I would.
I'll strike that.
All right. Can I see counsel up here for a second?
Yeah, okay. Not necessarily referring to the transcript, just in general. I know it's been a year and a half since this happened, and there's certain things you've said you can't recall now. But even at the time that you gave this interview to the officers, would you agree that a lot of this happened so quickly that it was kind of a blur to you?
Well, I don't want to say a blur because I saw what happened, but I did just wake up from being asleep. So at first I was trying to get all, I don't know, like unfogged, wake up.
Okay. But then that's where I'm referring to your transcript here on page 4, line 20. You did tell the officer that it was all kind of a blur and you couldn't really recall, right?
I don't see that,
Can you
but
specify the line, please?
It's line 20?
on page 4,
Yes.
it's not what I have on mine.
Let's make sure we're on the same page here, okay?
Ms. Kunkle, what's the exhibit number on?
You have Exhibit 33, right?
Yes,
Okay.
What exhibit number is that? You see the green sticker, right?
oh yes, 33.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to strike that. We're going to back up. Let's go back to page 4.
Okay.
Now, you told us today that it definitely was more shouting than usual.
Yes.
But what you told the officer was, and I'm referring to line 2 there, you said that it was super violent because the parking lot is usually really noisy anyway on the weekends.
Yes.
So it wasn't just louder than usual, it was super violent in the way it appeared to you when you first heard it, right?
Yes.
And you went further. On line 6, you said it was like terrifying, like screaming, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you said that it was just a few shots. It wasn't continuous shooting, right?
Yes.
And specifically, there were sort of 2 separate moments of shooting.
Yes.
But you don't recall exactly how many shots.
No.
Now, you told us today that you did see some individuals throwing punches at the shooter, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm going to direct your attention to the, like, you still have the pointer there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that view work for you? Is that, we can get rid of the cones for you. Okay, so this is the view we were just looking at, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you told us just a moment ago that you felt like the shooter was, you pointed your light, if I'm right, yeah, the second hash mark.
Right here.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where you saw him after you heard the first round of shots?
Yes.
And then you said that the group of individuals backed up?
Took a few steps back.
Right. And you don't recall today exactly how many?
I don't
people,
recall.
but they backed up. And then you saw these individuals punching the shooter, at least a few of them, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when you say backed up, where did you see them back up to?
Not very, they only took like 1 or 2 steps back. They didn't back up all the way over here. They were still
So they
around
were,
here.
this group of individuals that you saw after the shooting, they were all on the rocks?
I don't recall where exactly they were standing.
But you saw them take a couple steps back,
As I recall, yes.
and then you see them throwing punches at the shooter.
Yes.
Okay. So did they run all the way to where the shooter was? Or
No, as I recall, the shooter was leaning over the body of the first victim that was on the ground, and they sort of lunged at him at that point and threw the punches then.
okay, so he walked up to where the gravel is?
Yes.
Did you see him do that, or you just noticed that now he was there?
I just noticed that now he was there.
Okay. And so they're not that far apart when these guys start punching him?
Yes.
Okay, okay. And I take it you didn't count how many punches, right?
I don't recall that.
But it was more than one?
Yes.
And it was more than one person punching him?
Yes.
And you saw him at least go down into a squat?
Yeah.
Okay. And they're still punching him while he's going down?
I don't recall that. part of it.
But eventually he's able to regain his composure, get away from them. They're not punching him now,
Yes.
and you see him stand up.
Yeah.
Now, at that point, you saw him shoot the next round of shots?
Yes.
Okay. But you didn't see him aim at anyone, right?
No, not directly.
Is that what you're referring to when you say quick scan?
Yes.
Okay. And it was just a quick burst of shots. He didn't just keep shooting, right?
Yes.
And from there, you saw him. What did you see from that point after those next round of shots? You saw, you didn't see anyone actually get shot, right?
No, I just heard them.
You heard some people say, I've been shot.
Yes.
Did you see those people run?
Yes.
So did you see two people run that were yelling they were shot?
Yes.
Where did you see them run to?
If we're looking at it this angle, they're running at us. So along the sidewalk.
So you didn't see them get shot, but you heard two individuals say they were shot, and you saw both of those individuals running along the sidewalk as if they're running towards us right now, as we're looking at this? Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Okay. So, looking at this from this view, we can see it looks like a van way out there in the back. Is that Franklin Street?
Yes.
Okay. They weren't running that direction?
Not that I can recall.
You saw two individuals yell they were shot and start running as if they're running into this courtroom from that screen.
That's what I can remember.
Okay. How far did you see them run?
Not that far. My room didn't allow it to me to look out that far.
So point to where your room is there.
It's this one.
Right there. Okay, so from there, you can't see that all the way down this sidewalk?
No.
No? Okay. So they ran out of your view?
Yeah.
Both of them?
Yes.
Neither of them went to the ground on that sidewalk?
Not that I could see.
Okay. Now, did you watch where Stephen went after that second round of shots? I'm sorry, you don't know his name. Do you see where the shooter went after those second rounds of shots?
Yes.
Where did he go?
As I can recall, he just stayed in the parking lot. He didn't move much.
Okay. So, can you point to where you recall him being after the second round of shots?
I want to say like in this area.
But still in the parking lot?
Yeah.
Now, it's okay if you're not certain.
Yeah.
You're not guessing, are you?
No, I can recall him in the parking lot. I just can't point out where exactly.
But you saw him put the gun down?
Yes.
Where was he when he put the gun down?
Gun. It's in the rocks over here.
In the rocks?
Or around this area, right over here.
Okay. So he had backed out of the parking lot.
Yeah, at that time.
And then after he put the gun down, it was moments later that he ran towards the police?
Yes.
Was that all in your view? Were you able to see him go all the way up to the officer?
Not all the way up to the officer.
You just surmised that he was running towards the officer?
Yes.
How did you come to that conclusion?
I saw the lights, and I saw the lights come closer and the sirens get louder and louder.
So you could tell that it was coming from Franklin?
Yes.
And that's the direction he ran?
Yes.
Have a moment here. So I just want to be clear again about directions you saw people going, okay? When Stephen was going towards the officer, you saw the lights flashing and you knew that was Franklin, so he went towards Franklin to go to the officer. Is that accurate?
Yes.
No further questions, thanks.
Redirect.
A few more questions, Jayelin, if you'll indulge me.
Okay.
So when you use the word violent when you were interviewed by the police,
Yes.
were you referring to physical violence, or why don't you describe what you were?
No, I was just violent, I don't know, language, violent, just voice, I guess.
So you didn't see any physical violence besides the shooting
Yes.
and the subsequent punches?
Yes.
But those punches came after the first set of shooting, is that correct?
Yes.
And whatever yelling you heard was within what, can you guess how long the yelling or the what you described as violent or yelling before the shooting?
I don't know. That's just what woke me up initially.
You indicated to counsel that the shooter was leaning over one of the guys who went down.
Yes.
Leaning over, like, still on his feet, though?
Yes.
All right, he didn't kneel down?
No.
When you discussed the scan and when counsel asked you about the scan, he was on his feet, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't say, you said that he didn't take aim, but can you describe to the jury how the gun was pointed or which direction?
It was pointed towards Mountain View, towards the victims, towards everyone.
It was level though, right?
Yes.
Wasn't pointed up?
Not that I can recall.
Good. No further questions, Judge. Thank you.
All right, I'll turn to members of our jury and see if they have any questions for Ms. Kunkle. It doesn't appear that we do. Can this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Kunkle, thank you for your testimony. You are
Thank you.
excused. All right, folks, let's go ahead and stand at recess for about 10 minutes. Please remember the admonition.